All right. Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the We the Locals podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Abby.
And our guest tonight is Lauro Diaz. Can you say hello, everyone?
Hello, everyone. Hopefully everybody can hear us. I'm looking forward to this awesome event here. This podcast is going to rock South County.
That's right. And we have Stu over in the corner with no microphone tonight. We cut him off. He chats too much. We just said that's enough. No more. No more for you, Stu. Till next week.
An extra microphone's not in the budget.
Yeah, it's not in the budget. So but if you'd like to help an extra microphone go into the budget so you get to hear what Stu has to say, you can donate to our podcast. You can sponsor us if you're a business or a candidate and you'd like to get your name out there. You can do that. Or you can drop us a Rumble rant, a super chat, or just a donation to the campaign. Listen to me. I almost did it earlier. And then I know. It's been a really long day. You can donate to our podcast to keep the lights on. Remember, $50, you get to pick the colors, except for yellow and red. $100, you can make us wear
Look
yellow
like
and red.
McDonald's.
Look like McDonald's or like, Joe Biden up on the stage with the red lights. So, yeah, and if you could also take a moment to please like and subscribe to our channel, share the show on all of your social medias with your neighbors, friends, family members, all of that jazz. We'd really appreciate it. And we'll do a couple of community updates before we start getting in here with our guests. So I have something, but I'll let you guys go first. I know, Jessica, you said you had something. Abby, you want to tell us what you got to do this week?
I got to go to jury duty yesterday.
Woohoo! And how was that?
I was done at lunchtime, thank goodness. I got there at like 7:45 yesterday morning. Went into the jury assembly room. This is the fourth time in my adult life that I've been called for jury duty, so I get called semi-regularly. And you say the pledge. They go through orientation.
Like federal or county?
Oh, county, yeah. Then they start putting people into pools. So I'm like waiting around. They like called the first two pools. I wasn't in either one of them. And then the deputy clerk went away and came. He's like, I'll be back. So then he comes back. And like the first pool that he called was like a specific judge, group 1. And then the second pool he called was another judge. But then he came back and he called the same judge, group 2, and then group 3. And then he came back and he did group 4 and group 5 for the same judge. And I was like, and I was in group 4. So I'm like, okay. And I realized it a little later on, like, well, group 1 has to go, and then they come back and they collect group 2, and then they take them to the same courtroom. So I sat around for like all morning.
Just hanging.
Yeah.
Twiddling thumbs.
Yeah. No, I brought a book and I brought some stuff to do. So it wasn't, it was waiting, but so then finally it was like noon and they come back and they collect my group and I go in and so this judge had called like 250 jurors in groups of 50.
Wow, that's a lot.
And the trial was going to be like a 2-week-long trial. And I was like, oh, crap. And so he led with, these are the reasons you can be excused. If you fall under any of these reasons, I'm going to ask each of you one by one, like, can you serve the 2 weeks or do you have an excuse? And so one of the reasons was you have planned travel outside of Broward County, which the last 2 dates of the trial are the dates that I'm going to be traveling out of town. So thank goodness. I'm like, no, Your Honor, I'm so sorry. I'm traveling outside of Broward County. And I got dismissed. And I went back down to the jury room and then they're like, nope, you're done for the day.
Nice.
So I got...
Well, thank you for doing your civic duty.
I did my civic duty.
You answered. Every time I get called, I'm the main parent of a child under the age of a
that was
certain
another
whatever,
reason,
a big one.
yeah.
So I always just mark that and send it in and and I actually haven't ever been called since I've been called.
So just an update for you guys. I don't see us live on YouTube.
Shocker.
I know. We are live on Rumble. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll put a thing in the chat for the YouTube stream just to come over to Rumble because
I don't know. This keeps happening.
Well, and I for sure set up the stream correctly tonight.
Anyway,
so
well,
it wasn't like
if
I
you're
forgot to add
watching,
the link.
yeah, we'll upload to YouTube later on. So all right, Jessica, what you got?
Well, lots of things, I guess, but not a whole lot of things.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where we're at right now.
That's kind of that's kind of the theme, I think. Palm Beach County, their property prices, our property appraisal numbers and stuff came out. So we surpassed $500 billion. We're at $514 billion.
In commercial and private?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And so it's up approximately 10%. The average medium home prices right now in Palm Beach County are $500,000. That's up 60% from 2019. The county commission did set the max millage rate at 4.5, but with the increase of value, everybody's going to be maxed out on their taxes.
Yeehaw. Taxes going up, insurance going up. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
And we had to have a balanced budget. So people don't understand when the prices go up, the budget automatically goes up. Somebody's not sitting there saying, hey, we're going to add X billion dollars to the budget. It goes up based on properties. So just keep that in mind, among other things. And then the next dates to watch for is September 10th and September 17th. So that will be the final reading of the budgets before it's set. Delray Beach, their budget talks happened on July 9th, so you could probably check that out. And then the next one is July 16th. Boynton was this week, 8th, 9th, possibly, or 8th, 10th, possibly 11th if needed. Haven't had a chance to watch that one, but those should be online as well. Boca hasn't announced theirs yet for coming in to the fall. And then Palm Beach County has a ballot question on the ballot this year. So basically
It's
they're
going to be a really long ballot.
Oh, the ballot's going to be massively long.
Massive.
Yeah.
In Broward, because there's county charter questions, and then in Lighthouse Point,
You guys have like
we have seven
charter
seven
questions.
charter questions
So now we
on
have
the
one,
ballot.
a county one. That's crazy.
Yeah, so the county one is basically giving the authority to the commission to waive taxes for job creators. So the actual
I have lots of questions.
Which taxes?
So, hold on, I'll pull it up right here. The Economic Ad Valorem Tax Exemption Program provides Palm Beach County with the additional economic development incentive tool to assist new and expanding businesses to make a positive economic impact on Palm Beach County's economy and the expectation that these businesses will create new full-time jobs in Palm Beach County. Shall the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County be authorized to grant property tax exemptions to new business and expansion of the existing businesses that are expected to create new full-time jobs in Palm Beach County?
That's interesting because it's an ad valorem exemption, and that assumes that the business owners are the property owners.
I was going to say that, right?
And if they're not the property owners, then they're reliant on their landlord to pass the savings on to them. Or how are
There's
the
so many
mechanics?
questions.
How are the mechanics of that going to work? Because, like, how is the county going to police that? Yeah, I have lots of questions.
Lots
And
of
my,
questions.
and my big question is, how do we guarantee that those jobs are going to be for Palm Beach County residents as well?
Good question.
There's
So-
lots of questions.
So there's lots of questions about that. I don't like the way that this is written. I am trying to look back and find out what agenda that it was talked about on because I missed it.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
see
I
that.
didn't catch it. So I'm going to do some research. Hopefully I have some more information about that. So I just thought that was really interesting. But that's the news that I have for for an update.
And
with
it's
Palm Beach
interesting what
County.
you said about the budget going up if the values go up, because Tuesday night we had a commission meeting in Lighthouse Point, and one of the things was approving the millage rate to go to the September hearings. We had the budget workshop last month. The rates were based on the June 1st tentative values.
Yep.
But then the July 1st values came in, the final values from the county, and they were higher.
So was Palm Beach County. By
We
a lot.
actually lowered the millage rates, the operating and the debt service rates in Lighthouse Point just slightly from the June workshop because the value was there that we didn't need the higher millage
Interesting
rate.
how all of that. Like,
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking a huge swing, but I mean, we did lower them to the extent
And
we
Palm
could.
Beach County can still go down from their 4.5.
Yeah,
that's just
the
the max.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the max. So they can go down based on the final numbers that they got. I want to say the property appraisal, once she dropped her numbers in July, don't quote me, but I want to say it was like almost like $10 million or something. It was a lot more than what it had been in years past. Usually it's like maybe 3-4 million, but it was substantial higher this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, there we go.
lots of excitement stuff. Remember, now is the time to pay attention to your budgets. September's too late.
Yep.
Yes, September's too late. So, all right. So, a couple things. Personal update. I have a new niece.
Yay!
So, I was in Jacksonville this week.
Mazel
Thank you.
tov.
Thank you. I was in Jacksonville. So, I literally drove from Jacksonville, went home, put makeup on, and came here. So,
And you look great.
oh, thanks so much. So I'm a little like, woo, but that was exciting. But I found out last night and have been discussing today, and I guess I did kind of know this loosely, but I didn't really realize what was going to be happening. So Boca peeps, pay attention. Palmetto Park Square, which is where the old Kmart shopping center, or where the old Kmart used to be, the developer wants to move the Publix from its current spot to where the Kmart is, which I think everyone likes because that Publix is terrible. It's tiny, it's awkward, whatever. But then they want to take that whole side of the shopping center where UFit is and the pool supply store, all of that, knock it down and build apartments.
Publix is on the east or the west side?
Publix is on the east side, north.
But they want to put it where
Kmart is,
on the
which is on the
west.
west side. So Publix is really like on the north side more than the east. It's like north
right
of the
right.
So they want to move it where like they usually have like the Halloween store there.
The spirit.
The spirit
always move in.
The spirit moves in. The spirit moves out. I don't know what kind of spirits are moving in and out, but not ones I touch. But anyway. Yeah, they want to move the Publix over there, which we've heard that rumor for a long time in the neighborhood, and but then the second part then is knocking down all the businesses there, and so there's a few issues with it. Number one, that intersection is incredibly congested.
Bad.
Incredibly congested. I live in the neighborhoods back there. To get out of my neighborhood, I have three options. I have one to go to Glades, I have one to go to Palmetto, and then I can go to Glades east. But if I have to go west, I'm either Palmetto or Glades, which is by the Diamond Exchange,
Yes.
which takes me 10 to 15 minutes to get out during rush hour out of my neighborhood, or it's to Palmetto and it takes 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes to get out onto Palmetto from my neighborhood. So like I can't get out of my neighborhood at certain times of the day. It takes a really long time. And like a lot of the residents have this problem. There's a hospital there which has high traffic. So you're adding residents. They're talking like 1,000 people could be moving into there. They're talking like a big unit is whatever they can build on that. Affordable housing. And then another big aspect is all the small businesses that are there. We use those businesses. We're in that shopping center all the time. People send their kids to Taekwondo there. There's a little music studio.
Store.
There's a soccer store. There's restaurants that we buy every week. We get our pizza from. The gym that my husband and I go to is there. Like, it's our neighborhood business place. We don't really have a lot of those. We've got the University Commons, and that's basically it. And they take it all away and just have a Publix there. This is the neighborhood. This is the people who live in Boca. Mm-hmm. So our city council people don't really understand that, I don't think, because they all live west of I-95. So they don't know that this is, and we're not like high-end Boca either. We're very middle-class Boca. These are people, a lot of the people in my neighborhoods are firefighters, are police officers, are
These are
teachers.
your mom and pop.
These are the
places,
mom and pop
yeah.
places, mom and pop type places that are frequented by a majority of the community.
Mm-hmm.
So there are community hearings happening. If you're interested, you can message me through all of our messages. I'll send you the information. But the only way that we're going to be able to put a pause on this is if the community comes out. So I encourage you, if you live in Boca or know someone who lives in Boca and they might want to know about this, please let them know so we can come together and say no to the development of Boca Square at this level. I'm all for the shopping center being redeveloped a little bit and needs some upkeep. It is a little old.
Kmart.
But at the same, moving the Publix, maybe giving it a facelift, but not this. This is extreme.
Yeah, definitely something to pay attention to. Brian, if you're listening, I hope you're on it.
Oh, he is. He and I had a whole conversation
Okay,
today.
perfect.
But we need more people.
Right.
More people on it. So those are my things.
I have one more thing. Happy 4th of July. I hope everybody had an amazing 4th of July.
What'd you guys do?
I walked in the Weston parade for Crissetti.
Oh,
Yeah,
what'd
it was
you do?
fun.
Cool. Hung out with some friends in North County, and if anybody attended the Boynton Beach festival that they had on Intercoastal Drive, my daughter Kaylee was actually one of the aerial artists. So if you got to see her,
I heard it was really good.
that was one of my kids, so I hope you were entertained. My little fairy artist there that she does a great job. So I just wanted to give her a little shout out.
What did you do?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I hung out at home with my wife, my horse, my chickens, my cows, and I had
Sounds
a really,
amazing.
really good time.
Sounds amazing.
He took a break.
I like it. No,
I
I
do.
love it. We had a barbecue at my parents' house, and then we basically spent the next 3 days in the pool at the community center because they opened the community pool in Boca because they opened the diving boards, and I have
Wow.
children that are fish. So, and one of them is addicted to the diving board, won't stop. She's like, I'm closing it up. She literally closed like the last person on the diving board every day. It was a lot of fun. So, all right. Should we get into
Yeah.
Let's get into
chatting
it.
with our guest here? All right. So, Lauro, can you tell us who you are and what you're running for, please?
I sure can. Thank you once again for this awesome opportunity. I really appreciate it. My name is Lauro Diaz. I'm running for sheriff of Palm Beach County. I was born in Cuba. I arrived in the United States in 1970, December 21st, 1970.
That's my son's birthday, not 1970,
No,
but
of
December
course
21st.
I was going to say that's a problem.
December 21st. Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Wow.
December
You look
21st.
great.
So.
Yeah.
Saw the Florida sun.
So we came right here to West Palm, and my parents got us out of Cuba because of communism. Obviously, it was a tough upbringing.
How
in
old
Cuba.
were you when you moved here?
I was 11 when I actually got to the U.S. We left Cuba. I was 10, but we went to Spain first, and then through the Catholic Church, working with the Catholic Church from Spain, along with the Catholic Church here in South Florida. They were able to secure passage, legal passage
Legal.
to this country. And so I grew up basically in West Palm Beach, in Lake Worth area. I spent almost 50 years there. I graduated from Lake Worth High School. From there, I went into the U.S. Army, served in the military police.
Thank you.
Served overseas, and thank you. Served overseas in Korea, assigned with the 8th Army, and then I was assigned with the 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Carson, Colorado, where I finished my time in the Army. I was actually hired by the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office before my time was up in the Army. That was kind of weird. That usually doesn't happen. But at that time, they wanted me to leave the Army a little bit early by 3 months, see if I could start the academy. And, of course, the U.S. Army said, no.
Contract till the day.
And they did keep me till the day. But I enjoyed every day I had in the military. It was a blessing.
How long were you in for?
It was 3 years to the day, and it was a true blessing. I got to experience a lot of neat things. I went to the Military Police Academy. I also became the first Hispanic in the U.S. Army SWAT team and the 4th Infantry Division. So there was a lot of firsts for me there, right? I also went to Traffic Homicide Investigation School, the first Hispanic to do so there, too. So I was very proud of it. I was very honored and very thankful to our country for allowing me that awesome opportunity. But more than that, honestly, I joined the military, and a lot of people think it's kind of cliche, but I saw the struggles that my parents went through, not just in Cuba, but here when we first got here as immigrants. My father didn't take a single handout. From the minute he arrived, he was working the very next day in construction. He worked 2 jobs, like a lot of Americans do, to get by.
Especially now.
Yes, but he did it the right way. We never took any aid from this government. We never entered any social programs. He worked 7 days a week for the first 10 years in this country. He did extremely well. He became an actual builder and built many, many homes that you see here in Palm Beach County today and businesses. So I learned from that. And I figured, listen, I need to pay back this country for this awesome opportunity. And that was the main reason why I joined the Army. And then that led me into the passion and love of law enforcement. So anyway, fast forward to that, I spent the following 27 and a half years with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. But before I get into that, I got to say hello to my wife because she's listening to your podcast.
Oh, yay. Hello. What's
Hi,
her name?
Amy.
Her name is Inez. Eni, she likes to be called Eni.
Hi, Eni.
Yeah, and our puppy, Kayo.
Aw,
Kayo.
Yeah.
Kayo.
Cutest thing ever.
And of course,
So
our
cute.
horse Troy, amongst others. But I'm not going to name all the names of the chickens and so forth. We're going to skip that. But listen, in all honesty, I learned a lot. It was a great opportunity at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I was able to command. I moved up the ranks from patrol deputy all the way to commander. I was the commander of the Organized Crime Bureau. I was the commander of the Training Division. I was the commander of Criminal Investigations. I was also the SWAT commander. I have a bachelor's degree in Science and Criminal Justice and a master's degree in Homeland Security and Emergency Management, specializing in terrorism and natural disasters. But I'm very well-rounded. I fully understand the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office inner working. After I retired from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office,
When did you retire?
I retired from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office in 2010.
Okay.
I thought I was done, but I wasn't. The fire started burning inside of me.
What did you do when you retired, and what brought you back in?
Well, we spent a year traveling, and we built a barn in the house and the farm and so forth. And then I was actually called by the sheriff of Highlands County at that time and asked if I was willing to come in. They were. This is no longer, this is public record now, but they've never done a wire on a narcotics organization, and they found out that I was living there. And all I did was just actually apply to be a volunteer, and then I never heard nothing from them. And the next time I'm called in by the sheriff, and it's like The Godfather. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Yeah. So the next thing you know, I'm in charge of the narcotics division over there, and we put up the wire. And
wait a second.
Yeah, and it was very, very successful against my wife's wishes. She did not want me to work
sure
narcotics
she's
anymore.
What was
No,
that
you're
like
done.
What was that like going from Palm Beach County to Highlands County?
Very different.
Yeah.
I will say this.
I don't even know, where is Highlands
Lake
County?
Lake Placid.
Yeah, it's Lake Placid, Sebring.
Okay.
It's 98 miles west of your office right here.
Okay.
98 miles northwest, I should say. But to answer your question, I gained new respect for a smaller county, smaller agency, only because the commanders there wear like 4 or 5 different hats.
Yeah.
So I was spoiled. I didn't know I was spoiled at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. If you were the commander of a division, that's all you did. Over there, no. I'll give you an example. I was their narcotics commander over there, but I was also their tag unit commander. I was also their SWAT commander. so they throw a lot on you because it is smaller, less resources. But I got a good perspective of how different one agency is from another. So that was really valuable for me. I did that for 4 years, and then I decided that I wanted to either be a chief of police or run for sheriff, one or the other. And one thing I was lacking was that I didn't have my master's degree. So I decided to go back to school, and I got my master's degree full time. And then I was hired by Bartow Police Department, not very far from there. I started as their captain of criminal investigation and SWAT commander. and then shortly thereafter, they promoted me to deputy chief. I would say within 6 months or so, 8 months or so. So I was their deputy chief until we were halfway through this campaign. And there was a tough decision to be made. The city manager was not, and I'm not speaking ill of the city manager. I don't agree with him, but I'm not speaking ill of him. But he felt that it would be a distraction for his deputy chief to be over here in Palm Beach County running for office to his agency over there. And he asked me if I would consider dropping out of the race. And I said no. So we agreed that we would part ways, and I thanked them for their awesome opportunity. And here I am.
Okay, so here we are. So now we'll get into the political side. So you ran for sheriff in 2020, right?
Correct.
So at what point did you decide to run for sheriff in 2020, and why did you decide to come back to Palm Beach County and not want to run where you were at that time?
Where I was in Highlands County? In Highlands County, they had a new sheriff who I know personally, and I think he's doing a great job. There was no reason for me to try to take his position or run for office there, number one. But honestly, to be brutally honest, because that's who I am, the hunger is for the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. That agency is so small. Let me give you an example. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is 4,500 men and women. It has many different divisions, many different opportunities. And we serve a county of a little bit over 1.5 million, I believe, is what we have today.
Yeah.
Highlands County is 120,000 people. And then you subtract the 3 municipalities of police departments as theirs, you're down to a sheriff's department of 200 men and women. I commanded over 700 men and women in uniform here. So to me, it was, I don't want to use the word boring, but it wasn't challenging enough. But then again, this is home. My children live here. My grandchildren live here. I grew up here.
So that's where you spent your whole career.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a misconception out there that I abandoned the county. That's ridiculous. I still have a home here in the acreage. I come here, or I did, every single weekend to see my family. So I've never really left Palm Beach County. We're only talking 89 miles, folks. So let's get realistic about this. But I have a bond with a lot of the employees of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I have a bond with a lot of the community members in Palm Beach County. And they know what I'm about, and they know how I feel about law and order. And I don't believe we have the law and order that we deserve in this county today.
And that's what inspired you to run
the
first
correct.
time.
That is correct.
Okay.
I did not have name recognition, even though I grew up here and even though I worked at the sheriff's office for so many years, because I never been involved in politics. I never seeked the limelight. I never I just did my job. And most of my career, I really actually spent undercover narcotics. So I really had very minimal.
Nobody knew who you were because undercover.
You got to keep a low profile when
It's in the name.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
So I'll give you an example. I went there as a narcotic agent. I spent a few years doing that, and the next thing you know, I get promoted. I go to patrol, and they pull me right back to narcotics as a narcotics sergeant. I get promoted to lieutenant. They send me out to the road as a watch commander. I would think I lasted, I want to say it was like 2 weeks, and they dragged me right back to the narcotics. I got promoted to captain. I lasted a year out there, and they pulled me right back into the organized crime bureau, which is narcotics. So you can see the pattern there, right? So for that reason, I never really associated with any kind of programs or people in general. I just did my job and make sure that we try to enforce our anti-narcotics laws in this county and try to keep our streets safe. Remember, I grew up in a time where crack cocaine was an epidemic here.
Right.
This was the wild, wild west. The 80s and 90s were just absolutely horrific.
Kook bananas.
Yeah. The 80s was all about crack. Part of the 90s was all about crack. And then in the 90s, we went into the gang problem that we still have today.
Yeah.
So, well, we came close. I wasn't known. We got over 260-something thousand votes for someone who's never ran for office with minimal
voted
support. For you. Oh, thank you. God bless you. And, after that, I had a really good taste of it. And I said, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's see if we can make a difference. And I didn't have a team. Luckily enough, I have a team this time. The first time around, it was just myself and 2 other people that ran the whole campaign.
Well, not only that, I mean, you ran in 2020. Like, that was a weird year to run.
Abigail or Abby? What would
Abby.
you like to go? Abby, listen, they canceled 90% of our events.
Oh,
all
yeah.
canceled. It was crazy.
I ran for office in early 2021. It was horrible.
Yeah, so
It was just ridiculous.
so that pretty much tells you how I feel about it. It's a great department, and I look forward to being your sheriff.
All right. Okay. So I have lots of questions.
Go for it.
All right.
We do have a question in the chat.
Ooh, already. Let's go.
Every city mentioned earlier, Boynton, Boca del Rey, are as corrupt as they come. Can we hope for some investigating? I have no idea.
I know where that's coming from, and that's because of city councils and some of these municipalities.
Yeah.
And it has been a long-going problem. It's mainly in Boynton. I mean, it's been all over the place. There's an active lawsuit right now and so forth. And it's more driven of, I don't want to say it's corruption because I haven't been there and I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that I know it's corruption, but I will tell you that there's certain events within City Hall that people are not allowed to speak. People are not allowed to air their concerns. So that's what's being told to me. So that's interesting. But as your sheriff, I'm responsible for the entire county. Mm-hmm. Municipalities are municipality, and that's local government. Go ahead.
So I have a question. So you are in charge of the county, but the municipalities have their own police departments.
That is correct.
Is there any oversight or overlap from the sheriff's department to those police departments, or are they completely? There's no you have no say in how they operate or do anything.
Okay, excellent question. So no, there is no oversight where the sheriff, he or she, actually goes and investigates the police departments. However, that being said, it is the sheriff's responsibility to ensure that law and order is provided through the entire county if a municipality runs short of it. And in other words, let's just use a civil unrest case, right? If we have a civil unrest case, let's stick with Boynton because Abby was just talking about Boynton. So we're in Boynton, we have a civil unrest. As your sheriff, I can enter that city and bring order back to the city.
If the police are not able to do it.
Yes, if they're not able to do it. I can also assist in any major crimes such as active shooters. Actually, I can assist in anything that I so wish to, right? As long as it's law related. And that's what I like to bring to the table. I don't think we have a really solid connection with the chiefs of police across our county. I know there's approximately, and don't quote me on this, but I believe there's 8 or 10 municipalities that have merged over the years with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
I was going to ask that because obviously in Broward, the BSO, they're in a bunch of the cities.
Yes.
Some cities have their own, some are BSO.
And so, Abby, there's an issue with that. So I was just asked that last night, and I made this statement last night, and I'll make it again. As your sheriff, and I want all the chiefs of police out there to hear this. I hope that they're listening.
We hope so, too.
Yeah, of course. So,
if you know a chief of police, share it with them.
Lauro Diaz, as your sheriff, has no interest in taking over or merging with any municipality. That's not my goal. I think we have enough at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office to worry about. My main responsibility is county area. However, that being said, if a municipality comes to me and says, hey, listen, we just can't provide the level of law enforcement that we need to be providing for our people, would you consider a merger if the numbers are right and we can make it work? and I want the citizens now in the county area to listen to this very carefully. I will never accept a merger if it's going to take manpower away from you. I will not do it. I'm sorry. I will continue to assist municipalities. I prefer to assist a municipality police department than to take them over. But, last case, then yes, I will commit to providing their law enforcement services. It's a big deal. Boynton's been up. They talked about Boynton merging now like 3 or 4 times in the last 3 or 4 years.
Merging with the sheriffs?
Yes. Yeah.
Boynton
so,
has gone
yeah,
circles
over
with
and
their
over again.
with their police.
I know. I know Lake Park did. I know Pahokee did. Belle Glade did. South Bay did. I know that.
So a lot. It sounds like more like that.
The rural.
Well, no, that's how it started. But there's a lot of them from in here now. I mean, you got Lake Worth. That was a pretty
Lake
decent.
Worth did.
Oh yes.
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
many years ago. Many years ago, Lake Worth did.
It's Lake Worth Beach.
Yes, Lake Worth Beach. That's
Lake
my
Worth
beach.
It's Lake Worth.
Yes, it's my beach.
It's
Don't talk
Lake
bad
Worth
about it.
Beach.
They added
That's
beach
But it
to their
used to
city
be just
name.
called Lake
Yes,
Worth.
they added beach to
They
their
just
city name
added-
to make it more touristy.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
No,
added beach
I
to
refuse
that.
to use it. We
Yeah,
have a
I don't-
store.
I
We have a
don't
store
like
in
it
Lake
either.
Worth, and I refuse to use Lake Worth
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah.
No, I'm like, wait, because I keep seeing it on they redid the beach ball for the water
Yeah.
tower,
Yeah.
and they made it a beach ball. So it's like,
Yeah.
we love it
Because
because
it's
it's so
beach.
pretty. Right, now it's a beach, and I'm like, wait, is it the same?
Mhm.
It's the same place. They just added to their name to make it more tourist friendly.
All right, so
Yeah.
Lake Worth.
But I want to make this point
Yeah.
because we gotten off the topic because I think the listeners want to hear this, especially
Yeah,
the ones
absolutely.
that live in the municipalities. Let me say this as gently as I can. I'm not a very gentle person, but I will try to be gentle. If you have an incident where you don't feel like, let's just use Lake Worth. Well, in this case, we can use Lake Worth because Lake Worth has now been merged with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's
Let's
Office.
use
Let's go
Boca.
back to Boynton.
Boynton.
Have
Boynton.
it.
Let's go to Boynton. We'll pick on Boynton
so
now.
so you, as a resident of Boynton, you've called the police department. They've rendered service, and you feel like there was an injustice done. You feel like you were ignored. I am more than willing to bring in my people and investigate that case for you.
Okay.
And that's not something that most sheriffs will say. But I will say, because I believe everybody needs to be treated equally, and I think everybody deserves the same level of law enforcement protection and services that anybody else receives.
As far as the cities go with corruption, that would be the inspector general, would it not?
Yes. But a city. Let me give you an example. If a city manager asks the sheriff's office to investigate a city incident, then yes, we would do that. We would investigate it. Yes.
All right,
Interesting.
okay. Shifting gears. Do we have any more questions?
No.
Okay.
A few comments. I can read them.
Yeah, why don't you read them?
T. Rostalini says Captain Diaz has my vote.
All right.
That was
and
quick. We're only.
They also said because
like
Boynton
20 minutes
is as
in.
corrupted as Gauger and Bradshaw need a clean house.
Ouch. Ouch.
Dun, dun, dun. All right.
These are viewer comments. We
Yeah.
neither confirm nor deny
Or
any
condone
chats.
or support.
Yes.
We're just reading them
You
as
know-
we are committed to, which we will. If you chat us something, as
Yeah.
long as it's not dirty, we'll read it.
We would really appreciate if you chat through a Rumble rant and donate to the show.
Yes, that would
Yes.
be even better. And again, $50 or more, you get to pick the light color.
$100, you can make us look like McDonald's
Yeah.
up in here.
Exactly. Let's go. I need to know that one ahead of time, though, so I can do some makeup appropriately. So I can
Well, like
try to
Ronald
offset-
McDonald?
You know what? Maybe I will.
Grimace?
We all dress up as our favorite McDonald's character.
Have you guys? So this is way off topic, but have you guys seen how Grimace has been like at the New York Mets games recently?
No. Oh, I did see that. Yes.
I love Grimace. I don't know why, but that big purple mascot.
Oh my god.
He like threw out the first pitch at a Mets game, and they went on like a win streak.
So now he has to go to all of them.
How do kids this time
We
They don't know who Grimace is.
No, I can tell you. I don't know.
Or the Hamburglar.
that I know, kind of.
All right, listen.
Okay.
Stop
Sorry.
it. Stop it. Can we go in order? What is it? The Big Mac meal number 1? Let's get one for everybody in here, okay? Goodness gracious.
All right, yeah, we'll go on our rabbit trail here. Okay, so I asked around for some questions. So one question that was asked is where is your stance on the Second Amendment?
Wow, I am the Second Amendment.
I am the Second Amendment.
Does that answer it?
Yes.
My two favorite amendments, right,
Uh huh.
is the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment.
Okay, why?
The Fourth Amendment is my priority one, is because it affects law enforcement through and through from beginning to end.
Can you say it for our audience and just refresh their memory?
Yeah, so the Fourth Amendment protects you from a unreasonable search, not just from local or state, but also from federal agencies.
which I have questions about, which we'll
Yes.
get to in a second.
So,
Those are some of my bigger questions.
That is where an officer has to have probable cause, he or she, to conduct any type of investigation, especially a search, number one. Number two, it also encompasses your search warrants. So it's extremely important. And actually, my thesis and my master's degree was on the Fourth Amendment, and it had to do with the Patriot Act and whether or not the U.S. government has violated people's rights by using the Patriot Act. And violating
Probably.
the Fourth
What was the
Amendment.
conclusion of your thesis?
Yeah.
Again, I'm very honest. The answer is, after 6 months of research, and I got a perfect 4.0, yes.
Yes.
It was violated.
Yes.
There was overwhelming evidence that it was violated. But I will say this in the defense of our old President Bush. I will say this, okay? 9/11 was horrible.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we need to put that in perspective and understand that. And if I was the president, I think I would do everything and anything in my power that I could to make sure that our country is safe, especially at that time. However, it started out with good intention, then it was abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It started throwing out casts and just actually getting mass data on your phone, on your computers, on listening devices, and a lot of innocent people were caught up in the middle of it. So what I didn't like about it was that it kept you from having to have probable cause to get a search warrant to begin with. So you can actually violate the Fourth Amendment, develop the probable cause, and then file for the search warrant.
It's like,
That's
show
the
me the
problem.
man, I'll show you the
Yes.
crime.
Yeah, pretty much. So I had a problem with that. I had a serious problem with that. So anyway, I don't want to get into all that.
But it's good.
But it's a big deal. Yes.
I will point out once again that when politicians did this, they never asked the "and then what" question, which is a
Yes.
big theme that we have here on our show. Is reminding people that when you get elected and you pass some type of law, or if you're a lawmaker or enforce laws or whatever, especially the makers, is they need to ask the "and then what" question. Because a lot of times they focus on just what's going to happen in front of them and what hole they're plugging with the
Right.
law that they're
Right.
writing, instead of like what happens on the other side. So
Yeah, and then the Second Amendment, right?
Yes.
Because you asked me for about two of them.
Yeah.
So I will say this. The Second Amendment, I'm 100% for. I'm a gun owner. I have several weapons, different types of weapons. But I believe that you need to be responsible with your weapon and hold people accountable that are not. But you should not punish the whole just because a small part is violating laws when it comes to possession of firearms. Our founding fathers made it very clear under the Second Amendment it was our right to bear arms. And it was mainly, and I know the argument on that is it's a militia. It was made to, it was created to protect us from being invaded from another country. At that time, mainly Britain or England. And they say, well, time has changed. Well, no, time hasn't changed. We're living in a very dangerous time right now, an extremely dangerous time. And it's not just from abroad and not only from overseas, but here internally. We have a lot of groups that would mean harm to us if they had a chance to do so. So I'm all for it. But I do agree on background check, and I do believe that we have to be strict with that. But
do you believe in permits
to have a firearm, as long as
to carry?
Well, you know the new law now.
No, I do.
Yeah,
No, I know.
so-
I just want to know what your thought is on the new law.
I like the all law only because it made you qualify with a firearm, right? Under the new one now, we really don't know if you're trained or not, which brings up a whole other point.
But you address that "and then what" question, because part of your platform is to address that issue. How do you plan on doing that?
Well, thank you, Miss Jessica. So she already stole my thunder, but that's okay. So I was just getting there, and it's okay. So as your sheriff, what's important to me is that you're a responsible gun owner, right? But that you're also trained. So as your sheriff, I'm going to open up the range for citizens to come in and use the firing range to practice with their firearm. Now, before all of you at home start jumping up and down saying we're going to vote for this guy because he's going to throw lead down range, listen. My wife likes to say, listen. Yeah, listen. You have to pay for your own ammo. I can't do that to the taxpayers. So what I will provide is the range, and I will provide an instructor because you pay for taxes anyway, and their salaries paid through your taxes. So I'm not doing anything wrong or illegal or immoral there. And we will open it for you, and we will train you and give you classes you so wish to. I will open it up on the weekends And depending on the type of group we get, if we get a large group, we may have to rotate, obviously, and do some kind of a scheduling. So, but I'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I want to make sure that you know how to use that firearm. You know, and more important, do you know how to secure that firearm? Because a lot of people don't want to believe this, especially hardcore Republicans. This is a fact. A lot of the gun owners get killed by their own gun. So it's extremely important that we teach you how to use it and we teach you how to secure it. And let's not even talk about securing your home for your children. Especially, you just said you have a young niece that was just born and so forth. So you have to be very, very careful with that. So we'll cover all that. So to answer your question in short now, I don't have a problem with the new law, but I have a problem with you not training with your firearm. Most people buy a firearm, they shoot it one day, and then they put it away until the day they have to use it. And that doesn't work.
Right.
That really doesn't work. So
you're going to be focusing a lot on like educating the public
Absolutely.
on how to be responsible rather than
absolutely
a restriction type.
But
obviously you can't. But anyway,
yes,
from that type of mentality.
But because you were on, I'm gonna take your thunder now, because you were talking about the Second Amendment. And I don't know if you have it on your notebook there. By the way, folks, she has a really large notebook.
This is for all the things in my life,
Yeah,
which are many, many things.
So I thought you were going to talk to me or ask me about red flag laws.
I mean,
because that goes along with the Second Amendment.
Yeah, goes along with it. Yeah.
To me, and I'm not an alarmist by any way, shape, or form. I just speak the truth from my heart because I've actually witnessed it and I've taken part of it and I've seen it. Red flag laws are one of the most abused laws that we have in the books right now. And I have a serious problem with that. So I do have a plan for it. Can we get it off the books? That's not up to the sheriff. Okay, that's
state,
up to our,
right?
Yes, that's our legislative branch up
Legislatures.
in Tallahassee. So what I say is this. Before we take your firearm, there will be a 3-tier, a 3-level evaluation process first. Because what I've seen quite a bit is, especially on domestic disturbance or boyfriend, girlfriend, or that broke up or whatever, oh, he threatened me and that threat never took place. And next thing you know, we're at your house and we're taking your gun. Listen, remember, if we don't have a search warrant, and I'm still waiting for the Supreme Court of Florida or the Supreme Court of the U.S. to rule on this, if I enter your home and take your firearm under the red flag law, that's really a civil case. That's not a criminal case. That is a civil case under a Protection Act, which is what the red flag is for. So it's wiping away. Here we go again with the Fourth Amendment. It's wiping away that security of unreasonable search. I'm entering your home.
Seizure.
I'm removing and I'm removing that firearm. We can keep it up to a year minimum, right? And then you have to go through heck to get it back, which you'll get it back. You do get them back, but you have to go through a lot of different
And then
steps.
that goes on like the books. It's like that's a record.
Oh yeah,
right?
yes. So, I want to make sure that we have 3 levels. So the first level is the officer who takes a report. He or she goes to the scene, they evaluate the situation, take statements from the person, but then I don't want to stop there because I've seen the abuse. So now I want the sergeant to show up and review that statement from that lady or that man. And then let's talk to their family members or friends. Hey, is this person a threat? What do you know about them? Has he or she ever acted out with firearms before? We need to go a little bit deeper. We grab it too quickly. And I will tell you, a lot of the sheriffs, a lot of the chiefs of police do it because they're afraid of liability. And I don't want to be a sheriff that's afraid of liability.
How would that work if it's they're afraid of liability? So if, God forbid, someone who has threatened someone else then follows through with it, then that person's family could sue the sheriff's office? They do.
They do. Yes, they do. Unfortunately, they do. That is a fact. And we're responsible for that, so we have to be very careful how we manage that. So that's why I want to make sure. Yeah, once the law's in place, if you don't follow that law, you're open to a lawsuit. It's real simple. But I want to make sure that we have then a 3rd layer where now the commander, the watch commander, shows up and does the same thing. And then we call our legal department and we review it. And then if all 4 agree, and I know this sounds like a lot, it's not. Everybody's out there working, doing the same case at the same time. Then we'll go ahead with seizing that firearm. But I would not feel comfortable charging you criminally because you refuse to turn over that weapon. That is still in my heart and in my mind. That's still a civil case, entering your home and taking your firearm when at this point in time you have not committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be very careful, and we have to manage it very, very carefully.
Interesting.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. That's good. All right, moving on. So I have a question about illegals. So obviously we know that the border at the southern border is porous and wide open, and they're being flown here and they're being flown there and they're being all everywhere. And we're not seeing as much here as like we're seeing in sanctuary cities like New York and San Francisco and whatever it may be. However, as sheriff, what is your plan or thought process in order to deal with anyone who is currently in our county illegally, as well who was breaking the law already, but just by being here? And then also, what is a plan to prevent them from coming in, and how do we protect our county from that?
Excellent question. So I'm going to answer it backwards. I just found out last night, I don't know if this is true or not, at the event that I was speaking at last night, there was a lot of New Yorkers up there. And there's a lot of New Yorkers.
We love our New Yorkers.
New Yorkers. Yeah. So anyway,
many
they
New
were saying
Yorkers.
that New York was doing away with the sanctuary city. I don't know if that's true or not.
I would not be surprised.
But that's what I heard last night for the first time. If they did, great, because I am 1,000,000% against sanctuary cities.
All right. Well,
So that takes care of that part. Now, the second part is, what would I do? So if you commit a crime, you're illegal, I'm going to arrest you regardless, right? You're going to go through a processing. You're going to go to our county jail. You're going to go to first appearance, and then you're going to be charged, and you're going to do your time. What I will do immediately is I will put a hold on you. If you're sitting in our county jail and you're illegal and you committed a crime, I will put a hold on you until ICE gets there, and I will notify ICE. It's all in place. It's not something that I'm creating. It's actually in place. The question is, are we doing it?
right.
Put the ICE hold on there, and then when they're done, we turn it over to them for deportation. I am 100% behind that. Now, you were talking about the illegals coming into our
And they
county.
haven't committed a crime, technically,
Right.
meaning they haven't done anything to
Okay.
hurt someone else, but they are committing a
Okay.
crime just by
Yes.
being here
Yes.
illegally.
Yes. So here's the answer to that one. You ready?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
All right. So
I'm buckling up.
people are going to lie to you. You're
Well,
going to have
yeah.
candidates that are going to come in. You're going to have chiefs of police, and you're going to have sheriffs that are going to lie to you straight up to your face and tell you that, yes, they're doing it. No, they're not. They're not rounding up anybody. First of all, we don't have the manpower to do it. You guys want the truth? Here's the truth. We do not have the manpower to do it. Everybody's complaining about almost $1 billion budget of the sheriff's office. If we were to enforce all immigration laws in the county by the sheriff himself or herself, that budget would go easily to $1.1, $1.2 billion without even blinking an eye. We don't have the structure in place. We don't have the training in place. We don't have the facility in place to manage such overwhelming problem, because it is happening. But what we can do is work with ICE, or immigration. When they do their roundups, I have no problem assisting them. I will do everything in my power to talk to and educate our business owners. Listen, the number one offenders of illegals is your business owners.
Yep.
We want to blame the illegals for everything. And I will tell you, they wouldn't be here if they weren't getting employment.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be getting employment if the employers wouldn't be making a killing on them, because they only pay them half of what we all get paid.
Do you
Those
think
are facts.
the new state E-Verify laws have cut down on that, though?
The what?
The new state E-Verify laws.
I'm not familiar with that one. Tell me.
You're required, I think if you have over 25 employees.
Yes. I am familiar with it. No, I don't think it's done anything, because
Most of these are very small businesses.
Yes, exactly. Number one, how do you prove that they're actually doing it?
You have to submit a
Yeah, but
form to the state.
But I'm talking to you from a sheriff's perspective.
Yeah.
We're not following up on that. It doesn't come to us. We don't
Yeah.
know. So your restaurants, your labor companies are using them left and right, and they actually become victims sometimes. I'm not.
Oh,
an
yeah.
I'm
No.
not an advocate of illegals, but I will tell you that they're victimized quite a bit here. So we need to hold our own people accountable first. So here's what I propose. I want to make sure that we communicate with all of our business owners, small, large, medium, it doesn't matter, and explain to them what ramifications are if they violate these laws, number one. Number two, identify and help us identify when they have illegals there. Let me give you an example. Let's just pick a hotel. Pick the Hilton.
Okay.
All right. Abby picked the Hilton. You may have 20 people doing house cleaning. Some of those people, they're hired legally, and they're doing their job, and they're being paid. But a lot of them have been trafficked. There's another party involved, which is a human trafficker.
Which I
Yeah.
have questions about.
And that's how it all combines. So you have to identify the human traffickers that we have here. And it's not, when people think of human trafficking, they always think, oh, it's a brothel.
The sex trades, yeah.
Yeah, sex trade. But it's not. That is part of it, but it's mainly labor. It's more labor than anything else. That's a fact. So we need to identify those. Because what happens is, I've spoken to some of these people that have been trafficked before. It was happening in Highlands County. And what will happen there is, let's just say that I am, Mexican, okay? And they smuggle me in, and I come in. But I come in with the agreement that I'm paying you $2,000 for the coyote, that's the person that brings them across, to get me in. Well, no, they take you to a home, they sequester you in that home, and now they drop a bombshell on you. And they tell you owe us $25,000, you're going to work for us for the next 2 years. or we will kill you, or we'll kill your family.
back in Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the real problem.
That's
the real problem. But nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to talk about
Nobody
it.
wants to talk about that.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
So okay, so I've heard that we are going to human trafficking. It's like well known, especially in the parent world, that we are like in the corridor for massive amounts of human trafficking. How big of a threat is that really? I know it is for people being smuggled in or brought in, like you just said, the example from South America or Central America or wherever it may be. But as far as like the trafficking of like children and kidnappings and things like that here in Palm Beach County of parents and kids, is that a big problem here as much as it's being talked about, or is that not? Where's that?
It's real, but it's not to the level that the alarmists are talking about. But it does happen. But you know how it happens the most frequent? Hypothetical.
Parents do it.
Very good. Very good.
I know too much about this subject, unfortunately.
So a lot of the parents will do it and make money.
Oh, wow.
And another one is you'll get a really good-looking, smart, soft-spoken person, male, that will attract these little young females that are 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. They'll make them feel like they're wonderful, they're the top of the world. And the next thing you know, they're gone. Mm-hmm. And that's the number one way that it actually happens to our local children, not immigrants that are
right. That's what. I'm talking specifically to our locals,
exactly,
because that's the world I live in.
Listen, it's done by our own people.
It is.
It's sad, but the majority of it is done by our own people. But yes, it does exist, and I am looking forward to actually creating a task force on that. And working. But that's one where you do need to partner up with all your municipalities, and you need to partner up with the federal government.
Okay, so that brings the question, because you mentioned before, I've heard you talk about partnering with federal government.
Yes.
How, so kind of taking a shift a little bit. So you talked about, if ICE needs to come in, you'll support and provide that support.
Yes.
What about, as we know, a big problem is the FBI and the federal government being weaponized against American citizens. So like a lot of the January 6th victims have been arrested here in Palm Beach County, have been arrested in Florida. To what level do the local law enforcement have to assist with those arrests? Because the FBI has to come in and take them. And at what level can you, as the sheriff, protect the citizens from these, what I would argue are overreaching and illegal arrests?
Yes, thank you for that. So I believe what you're referring to is my statement that I will not allow the federal government to overreach into our county and tell me what to do as your sheriff.
Yes.
And violate your rights, your constitutional rights. It starts out by making this statement: as your sheriff, I swear to you, in on the Bible or whatever you want me to swear to you, that I will be a constitutional officer. Right?
Okay.
Everybody, that's like a slang that a lot of the people use today, and the fact of the matter is that very few sheriffs behave as constitutional officers. What does that mean? As a constitutional officer or a constitutional sheriff, it means that the only thing that we're binding to is our U.S. Constitution or state constitution, right? I don't have to agree and or follow directions of the federal government if I feel that they're violating our rights here. Okay? So as your sheriff, I will make it very clear, very, very clear to all federal agencies. I have no problem with them coming in. But if they're coming in to do a raid or an arrest, I need to be notified. And they need to explain to me what the probable cause is. Because I don't want to see any of our citizens be victimized by violation of the Fourth Amendment. One of the problems I have that I see over and over again, you'll see it on TV. You'll see the federal government come in and they'll jump out of a vehicle and there'll be 40 or 50 of them dressed all in black with tactical weapons and go and arrest an 80-year-old man.
Right. Or the grandmother who was, praying outside of an abortion clinic.
And unfortunately, that's happening more and more. And, and I will tell you, as your sheriff, here's what I'll do. If I see the probable cause or when I see the probable cause and it's there and there's sufficient probable cause to make that arrest, I'll go and knock on that door. We don't need to bring 40 armed men and women. I'll knock on the door and I say, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, the gig is up, my friend. You got to go. But we're not going to be tearing down your house and violating your rights just because it looks good for national ranking or ratings or whatever it is that you want to call it. If they give me an order that I don't believe is in best interest for our citizens, the answer is no, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to allow it. And they can't do it if I don't allow it.
So they can't do it. So if they say this person was on the front lawn at the Capitol on January 6th, we want to arrest them, and you say they didn't do anything wrong, they were sitting on the Capitol, it's their right to be on the front lawn of the Capitol. No, you can't come and arrest them. You can do that.
What? No.
No, you can't do that.
No. Here's what I will do. I will review the probable cause.
Right.
If the probable cause indicates that they did not violate anything, then I will support that person. But what I will do for that person is...
So you can do that, though.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes. but more important than that is let's explain to this person what's going on, instead of just jumping on them. Right? Find out what's going on. Tell them what's going on. Say you need an attorney, and here you go, and help them come out of that situation. Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for everyone's life in this county.
Mm-hmm.
That's honest. That's what you're really swearing to. It's not just law and order, but you are swearing. You're taking an oath that you're going to protect everyone's life in your county as the sheriff. And I don't care what your role was on January 6th, January 7th, January 8th. It doesn't matter to me. I look at you as a human being. If you committed a crime, I'll be the first one to arrest you. Mm-hmm. But you're going to be treated with respect and dignity, is what I'm saying. But more important, where I talk about the federal government is I don't like to take money from the federal government. Okay. That's where sheriffs get in trouble. Mm-hmm. Once you start taking federal grant money, there is an overreach because there's an oversight committee attached to it. Mm-hmm. Every time you do a grant, you take grant money. Now there's quarterly reports. You have to explain what you're doing with the money. They get to come in and see what you're doing. They get to come in and see what you bought. And that leads down a slippery slope. We will learn to deal with the money in our budget. We have a large budget. We will make it work. And that's where I stand with that.
How much of do you know, or approximately how much or a percentage of our current budget is grant money?
Okay, so our budget does not reflect your grant money.
So the almost $1 billion that the sheriff gets from the county
That's correct.
Not.
It goes through the county budget.
That goes through the county. That has
So
nothing
they
to
get
do.
grant money on top of that.
Absolutely. Like I'll give you an example.
You'll see it in the consent agenda.
Yeah, I worked under
Transfer funds.
the weed and seed program. That was a big grant. And we had that grant for like 15 years or so, if I remember correctly. I know that I actually worked on it for at least 8 or 9 years. And we used those grant dollars to enforce drug laws. And we created a MAN unit, a multi-agency narcotics unit. And that's what that was paid with. The vehicles were paid through their gas, salaries, and so forth. So that's above and beyond. To answer your question, yes, that is above and beyond. Now, I don't know how many they have today. My understanding is at least 5 or 6 task forces that are being paid by grants. There's also equipment that can be paid by grant. And that makes it a little bit tougher, too, because the day you go to sell it, you can't sell it. You have to give it back to the federal government.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of handcuffing that goes along with that. So, again, I'd rather just try to survive on our own. If there's something that I really – look, if it's something that's going to threaten our people here, their safety, and my only option is federal grant, then, of course, I will take a federal grant to protect you. But if I can do it on our own, my God, that's going to be my number one priority. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So like things like Homeland Security, task forces, things like that. Are those funded through? Those are all federal grants.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now you can do a local task force, which is what I like to do.
Right.
And that is to
like the seizures and stuff like that.
Well, no, that's LATF. That's Law Enforcement Trust Fund money. But what you can do though is you go to Boynton.
So like intergovernmental.
And you
local.
have everybody give up one person.
Yeah, we do that.
And then we centralize it, and now you have your task force.
That's what they did during the COVID compliance task force.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yes. Are you going to ask me how I feel about
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about masks? Okay, so if the county commission, here's a question. Let's going back to COVID time.
Yes.
During COVID, the county commission were how should we put this? Loony bins. Trying to think of the right word. Just extreme.
Right.
Extremely cautious.
Overly cautious at the risk of trampling our rights.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mask mandates. And then also there were at one point they wouldn't allow citizens into the chambers because of the unconstitutional mask mandates, things like that.
All right.
What would be your stance, or what would you have done if you were sheriff in that situation and the county commission was asking you to create a task force, a COVID compliance task force, to send officers into restaurants and places of business that weren't enforcing their mask mandates?
I would not do it.
What would you would just be like, nope?
I would just say no, and that's all I need to say. No.
Works for me.
But you need an answer. And no, it's not an answer. No is an answer for me as your sheriff.
Right.
Because it ends there. But that being said, here's why I say no. First of all, let me just say this. I got COVID in 2020, and it was horrible.
It sucked. It wasn't fun.
It was horrible.
Yes.
It was probably the worst 30 days of my life as far as illness. So I know it's real. I know it's bad, and I know it's dangerous. Okay, so let's put that aside. There's a lot of people that are claustrophobic. There's a lot of people that have asthma. There's a lot of people that have other kinds of medical issues. I do not feel comfortable mandating anybody else to put a mask on if they can't do it. I would suggest it. I think it's better for you to be safe by wearing a mask. It's safer for people around you if you wear a mask, but I would never mandate it.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, I have a serious stance on when it comes to local businesses, restaurants, malls, or whatever, and I know some of the cases that you're talking about. Listen, I've spoken out on this 1,000 times. Here we go again, criminal cases versus civil cases. We're not in the business of working civil cases. We're law enforcement. We work criminal cases. Civil cases for civil attorneys, right? So if a individual wants to, let me just say that you were talking about McDonald's earlier. Now you got that in my darn head, and I want a Big Mac meal. But anyway, so let's just say that McDonald's says you can't come in because you're not wearing a mask, and they call us because you're trying to get in. Here's what I'm going to say to you, ma'am. They have the right to refuse you service. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. You can take them to civil court.
Okay.
But I will never arrest you for it. What I'm asking you is not to disturb the peace. There's other people here that are trying to have their meal. There's children here. Let's be peaceful about this. Let's be mature about this. They're losing out because they're not getting your money. You're not giving them their business, your business. Yes, if you feel like your rights were violated, then that's a civil case. Please sue them. What I would do, you're going to cut me off and I'm not going to let you.
No, go ahead.
No,
I'm just thinking of a question.
What I'm going to do for you is this. I will do a report for you, a civil case report. There's an actual civil code. It's called a Signal 66. That is a civil case. We don't use it very often. We just refer you to a civil attorney. But we'll do the report showing who was there, what happened, what took place, everybody's information, and now you have your case number. Go file your lawsuit.
Okay.
Okay? That's what I will do for you as your sheriff.
So would that be the same as, so I'm Jewish. If I go into a place of business and they somehow identify that if I'm wearing a Star of David or whatever, and they say, okay, we don't serve Jewish people here, you have to leave. And I refuse to leave.
No.
Right, but so my question is wouldn't that be the same thing? Would that be referred to as a civil rights violation? Because that's what that is. So wouldn't this fall under the same situation?
No.
Why?
It does not. First of all, what you're talking about falls more into a hate crime more than anything else, racism. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but racism isn't illegal.
Well,
I'm just asking. You told me to ask hard questions.
No, you're right. You're right. It's not illegal. You're
It's
absolutely
civil.
right. It is a civil case.
It'd be a civil case.
But here's the difference. How are you hurting someone, putting their life in danger versus transmitting a possible infectious disease versus wearing a scarf with a Star of David is not the same. And I will fight that in court any day. There's no way you can tell me that you're going to put Abby's life in danger because you're wearing the Star of David around your neck versus I'm not wearing a mask, COVID is at its height, and I'm coming in and getting in front of Abby's face. That's a threat to Abby. Okay. Your scarf is not.
The business would be considerate, would be like, we feel that they're a danger, that they're...
Right.
No, I understand. I mean, I
and stop messing with our Jewish people. I love Jewish people.
No, listen, yeah.
You see my pin?
I do see it. No, I know. That's why I said it. And look, anyway. Okay. That's cute. That's interesting. Okay. Shoot, I had another question.
I don't know. You were going to write, and then I said I wouldn't let you.
No, that was my question. Is about whether if it falls into the civil, because if it's a civil case, I'm just trying to follow the correlation there in that process.
So you know what? You sparked my memory on something, and I think Jessica was there that night. I was very upset. We were at an event not too long ago. I think it was off of Jog Road by Forest Hill. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the event was, but it was an event. And for, privacy issue, not to hurt anyone, I'm not going to say the name of the commissioner, even though I know the name of the commissioner. The commissioner spoke at that event and said about an incident that happened at our county commissioner's building. And it said that in the middle of their event that they were doing, their discussions, 2 or 3 skinheads walked in and said, "Hi, Hitler." Mm-hmm. And her answer was, well, we couldn't do anything about it because that's not illegal. Well.
It's not.
Well, no. Do it if I'm your sheriff.
But is it illegal?
Do it.
I'm not advocating for it, obviously. I'm just saying words aren't illegal.
Okay, watch. I'm going to educate you. Ready?
Okay, let's go.
Okay. That's a professional set forum that are discussing county business.
Right.
When you walk in and you start screaming, you become disorderly.
That's true.
You interrupt.
Yeah.
So we have a statute that's disorderly conduct.
Yes.
So why were they not arrested for disorderly conduct and removed from there?
You talk about the matters before the public a couple
Yes,
months ago?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, yes, I would have arrested them in a heartbeat. Not because they said hi Hitler, because they were disorderly. Do I care that they said hi Hitler? Yeah, I think it's disgusting. It
Right.
they shouldn't have happened. But
Because they
I
were
would have arrested for disorder.
disrupting the process.
The meeting came to a stop.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All
Interesting.
right.
I need to interrupt because
Yes.
we have a first monthly supporter on Rumble.
Oh, thank you.
Baba Bill.
Baba
Ooh.
Bill. Hi, Baba
Yay.
Bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Does he have a question or a comment?
No, it just popped up that he's now a monthly supporter. And
All
Oh,
right.
Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
That's awesome.
All right. So going back to COVID for a second,
Yes.
what was my other question?
Such fun times.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's like 3 years ago
4.
this week. No, 3 years ago this week when I got really sick with it.
Oh,
when I got it.
That's
Happy
when you got it.
anniversary.
Happy.
Happy COVID
I have
anniversary.
never been out of work for like 2.5 weeks in my life.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It was rough.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had it 3 times. It was a blast. Woohoo!
Abby, your camera's bothering me because it's
I know.
There's a 10-second delay.
Here, I'll minimize it so it's
Yeah.
not as distracting. I'll just keep the chat up.
I just saw myself drink water 10 minutes later. I was like,
Well,
what?
wait a
There
second.
is there is a slight lag.
Are we
There's a
still
slight-
not? We're still not on YouTube, are we?
I never was able to connect it because,
Alright.
like, I have on YouTube. Here's a little tech background for our fans. I have to actually go live on YouTube with the stream. It automatically starts on Rumble, but like usually I refresh a few times and then it like lights up to go live. Never lit up tonight.
All right. Well, if you're watching us on YouTube, sorry that we weren't live. You get to watch it tomorrow.
You should
Yeah,
watch
I
us
will
on
upload
Rumble.
the replay tomorrow morning.
You should watch us on Rumble anyway. It's better. YouTube
right,
censors.
exactly.
So during COVID, one of the other things that the sheriff's office was doing was forcing or requesting or requiring their officers to be vaccinated. Was that something you would do as well?
No.
No. Okay.
Baba Bill says, "Keep it going, sheriff's debate coming up."
Yes,
All
thank you,
caps.
Baba Bill, for that. We actually are going to have a sheriff's debate on July 25th, brought
Yes.
to you by We the Locals.
Woo!
Yeah, our very first debate, and hopefully it's going to be be the start of many to come in the future.
Yeah,
I think it's
so
going to be good.
we are looking to try to host more. So if you would like to support directly to helping to fund the debates, please let us know that so we can
Yeah,
make sure the money goes
absolutely.
towards just basically we're just covering our expenses of microphones, sound people, cameras, because we can't do it in our cozy little studio here.
No.
It'd be a little tight. It'll be a little snug. So we are going to be doing it in front of a live audience. So if you'd like to attend, please come. All of the information is available on our website, right?
I have not posted it on our
Not
website
yet. It will be
but
available on our
it will be very soon in the next couple days.
Yes.
So advertisement is out. We'll make sure to do a couple social media posts.
Oh,
about
absolutely.
it as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
We'll be
promoting
pumping
it.
it up.
So make sure to follow us, like, subscribe, all of that, so you get all of that information. So. And donate, yes,
Yes.
please donate to help cover our costs. I have a question. So all of the documents and stuff came out with Epstein July 1st.
Let's go to that.
So I want to just kind of know. I just kind of want to know, like, your thoughts. What of anything that you could tell us that happened in the sheriff's department during that time when Epstein was arrested?
Because you were in there at that time, right?
I just left. Well, yeah, I was there. I was on my last several months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and like, what kind of environment was the sheriff's department around that time? What kind of incident was that? And then, knowing what we know now, what do you think should have been done differently?
Okay. Jeffrey Epstein incident with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office was a total debacle. Everything was wrong from the beginning to the end. I know for a fact that he was given his own private wing at the jail, something that we don't do for anybody else.
And some people may not know that the sheriff's department is also ahead of the corrections department.
That's correct.
in
yes.
the county.
Yes, that's correct. Then we have 3 facilities: the main jail out by the fairground and the one in Belglade.
And the sheriff who was overseeing at that time is the current sheriff that we have still now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just so people who didn't know that.
Yeah, but I'm going to defend him.
Okay.
He wasn't in charge of the Epstein,
He was not,
case.
even though he was the sheriff.
even though he was a sheriff.
How's
It
that
was
work?
assigned to his number 2 guy,
Who was?
which his name is Michael Gauger. So here's the issue. At that time, Michael Gauger was over seeing the Jeffrey Epstein situation. But before I can explain it, I have to say what I would do as your sheriff.
Okay.
First of all, Jeffrey Epstein has gone down in history as probably the most prolific pedophile that we've had, right? Well, we didn't need the history to know that. We knew that back then.
You guys
Okay.
knew that.
Yeah, we knew that back then. If not, he wouldn't have been there, okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, as your sheriff, I would never support a pedophile to get work release. Now, that's debacle number 1. Here's where I believe a sheriff should have stood up and said to the judge who granted Epstein that work release, no. And if the judge insisted, then the answer would have been, let's go to the media and say, look, folks, we're letting this pedophile out because the judge is going against the wishes of the sheriff. I have no problem calling him out. I have no problem calling out the state attorney, who also got behind that at that time. Okay, so they're both.
Who is the state attorney?
They're both culpable. Oh God, I can't think of
Okay.
his name
I
now.
was just curious.
Ehrenberg.
It was Ehrenberg.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ehrenberg.
Well, he's almost out.
Yes. Now, keeping that in mind, right? Here's what the general public really doesn't know. Jeffrey Epstein, as part of his work release program, wrote a check for, I'm not sure the amount, I've been told it was about $220,000 to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office while he's sitting in our jail. Okay, keep that in mind.
Happy.
Now, I've spoken about this in an open debate with Michael Gauger. And what I said was, the minute you accepted that check, well, wait a minute, for the listeners to understand what that means, getting the check, that was to pay for his supervised work release program, because it has to be supervised by law enforcement officers.
So he got the judge to give him a work release program,
Yes.
and it has to be supervised by the police officers. Is that normally paid for by the sheriff's department, or is
Yeah.
it normally paid
Normally,
for
we
by
don't do it. We just simply normally don't do that.
any work release
Yeah,
programs?
so if you ask for any kind of detail for anything, you have to pay the sheriff's office, right?
Okay.
But we've never done that for a pedophile.
Okay.
Okay. So
In that process, just so people understand, I understand for a normal process for a work release
Right,
program, how would
right.
that work?
I would have to look into it. I
Okay.
really don't know. I haven't been on the correction side of the house.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. So, regardless, you assign deputies to supervise them 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, okay? On the orders of the judge, he was only supposed to go to his place of work,
Which was
which was a building, an office site. However, Jeffrey Epstein also went to his home, which was against and a violation of the work release order. Nobody ever enforced it. No one ever
they
did
just
anything about it.
his detail was just like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
this is where we're going.
Yes, and Mr. Gauger knew about this. Then, when they did follow him to his house, Mr. Epstein did not allow them to enter his home.
What?
Nor did he allow them to enter his place of business.
So they
They
just
just stood
sat
outside.
outside.
So that's why we have additional
Jeez.
victims today. There was already victims inside, and they were re-victimized,
Yeah.
right?
I was
So
going to
that's the
say, I
problem.
mean, like,
Now, here's the worst part. When an officer works a detail, he or she has to fill out a log. These lawsuits have shown that they've asked under disclosure law for those logs. All the logs have disappeared.
of course they have.
That's under my opponent.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're not there. That's under my opponent. So here's what I said numerous times, and I'll say it again. The minute you took his money, you took a law enforcement agency
Mm-hmm.
and you made those employees, those cops, those police officers, those deputy sheriffs, the employee of a pedophile offender, Jeffrey Epstein, because now they are working for him. And I don't care how they try to explain it. That's exactly what you did, because that's who's paying their salary for that detail. I would have never allowed that in a million years. So when I questioned Mr. Gauger on that in a debate, his answer was shocking to me. And it's on video, so please, listeners, go on Diaz for Sheriff 2024 and you'll find it there. His answer was, because I said, why did you allow it? And he said, Diaz, because he would have sued me. So I'm going to let all the pedophiles out from now on, folks. If you're a pedophile out there, listen. Just threaten to sue me, and I will let you go and do whatever you want. See how ridiculous that answer is?
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. So I have serious heartburn with that. So there was a lot of failures with the Jeffrey Epstein case. But, nobody's taking responsibility.
Mm.
Mr. Gauger points his finger at the sheriff. And I know as a sheriff, you can't supervise these things. You're not there. You have so much on your plate. You're basically involved in so many different committees and so forth. That
You're trusting your guys
of course you are.
to enforce the law and do their job.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to beat up the sheriff on that. And some people say, well, you're just beating Gauger up because he's your opponent. No, I'm beating Gauger up because he admitted to it and he said he did it and went along with it because he was going to get sued. So that's a fact.
That's ridiculous. So how do you think the document drop is going to affect anything or anybody's opinion? Is there more information that might come out about Gauger specifically's involvement in anything, or what do you think could come out of that? If anything.
And this should not be about Gauger right now. So, but it's turning into that because of the topic that we're on. So I will say this to you, and I'll leave it for the listeners to come up with their own opinion of my opponent. Mr. Gauger is quoted on the Palm Beach Post saying Jeffrey Epstein was a model prisoner. A prolific sex offender pedophile.
Oh my gosh.
Gets special privileges, and then he's quoted on the Palm Beach Post as a, what did I say?
When was this?
Model prisoner.
That's exactly what I said.
When was this quote in the Palm Beach Post?
Just look it up. Google it.
I think it was like in 2019.
I just saw it. I saw it the other day. Somebody pulled it up and showed it to me.
What year? So just refresh our audience memory. What year was all of this happening with Epstein?
10, 11. But the investigation started before that in the city of Palm Beach. All this originated from Palm Beach. Palm Beach Police Department is the one that actually started this whole
They
thing.
started the
It was in
investigation.
2019.
Yes. And they went through hell doing it, too. They did a really good job, but they ran against a lot of opposition on it.
I'm sure lots of money.
Yeah.
Lots of money in Palm Beach.
But they did a good job.
Well, I think the documents and I had the reading pleasure of reading all of the documents that came out, and as a
Lucky you.
as a sexual abuse survivor, it was not pleasant to actually read the documents, and it really highlights how important our state attorney is,
Right.
Because in these documents is these young girls, young women, just understanding their sexuality, just understanding who they are as individuals, were really taken advantage of in such a disgusting way, because Epstein was a sly criminal. He made it where they basically gave him permission to do whatever that he did or what they did.
Correct.
And so then therefore he could just claim no liability. Well, they wanted to. They did it. They okayed with it. So it was $100 for a massage. If you had sex with him or did more, it was $300. Whoever brought you in got $200. So he was paying $500 a girl. And then it was really like all of these girls were then getting hundreds of dollars, and they were in, not the greatest home situations. They weren't really loved and cared for. And then now they have thousands of dollars in their pockets.
And someone telling them all kinds of pretty things.
And the grand jury were treating them like they were prostitutes and that they knew what they were doing. And I was so offended by that because of the fact that, I was raped as a young teenager. I didn't tell anybody because I was afraid, and I didn't trust my parents. My parents were going to blame me regardless. So it's like, and then to see that our law officials and the apparatus that was supposed to protect those girls, those children, failed. And that's what I kudos to Peggy Gossett-Seidman for bringing this out and making sure that this got exposed, because it really talks about the underbelly of that we don't take care of our victims. We treat them more like criminals than we do actually taking care of them. And whose responsibility was it to protect those girls? And they weren't protected. And so I mean, it's graphic, it's pornographic, it's not anything, that like leisurely reading at all.
Yeah.
But it gives you a really good insight of kind of like how our justice system works here in Palm Beach County and what happens when you don't have good people in charge. And this is why this is why our sheriff's race is so important. Our state attorney's races are so important. And this is why we need to get involved to make sure that things like this don't happen anymore.
So with that, this is the first time in several years that we have a competitive state attorney's race here in Palm Beach County. So make sure that you vet your candidates. There are several on both sides of the ticket. So there will be an interesting primary shakeout. We'll see what happens next month. But make sure you vet your candidates for those offices, and then make sure that you campaign and help them. As Jessica's saying, was more important than we know. So we can have a great sheriff, but if we don't have a good state attorney who's enforcing and charging the criminals that our sheriff is going to arrest,
well,
what?
If they don't enforce the law, if they don't follow the law, they could get yeeted by the governor.
Yeeted by the governor!
I don't know about that, but as your sheriff, I'll darn sure call him out. I can tell you that. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Jessica, I'm sorry for that. I didn't know that. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But I will say this to you because you made a point, and I've spoken to my wife numerous times about this in the past 20 years or so, but you brought back some memories. So, victims of rape, most of them will not, complain or prosecute or testify because they're actually victimized all over again in court. Mm-hmm. They're always, that's the scapegoat.
What were you wearing? What did you say?
Victim shaming.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a shame, and I'm sorry for that.
Ugh.
Thank you.
So, all right.
This was an interesting. I was not expecting this type of conversation tonight.
This turn. Do we have any comments or questions before I delve into more?
Well, someone was like, boom, and that's a Moab, a mother of all bombs. And I said, yes, it is. And popcorn.
Popcorn. I love our audience.
It's just interesting to me, like, I mean, you had a front row seat. You were in the department back then. Maybe not directly involved, but you saw what was going on. And
one time we drove up there. We like to take A1A, especially with the kids every once in a while, and just mosey on down our thing. Drive up to Palm Beach Island, drive by Mar-a-Lago, go to see all the houses and stuff. And we were like, let's go see his house. And so we found his house. It was before they destroyed it. So we were like, obviously my kids don't know. They were too little, but they were just along for the ride. But my husband and I were like, let's go check it out and see what's going on. And this was a few years ago. So it was not too long after he killed himself. And not too long after that. And so when it was really height of conspiracy.
I can only imagine how many more victims are out there, to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm sure. And do you know, were there tunnels under his house?
No.
I mean, how could they have tunnels in Florida?
I have wondered that, but I've heard rumors. I've heard
goes right out to the ocean.
I've heard rumors that they've
right
been able to. I know. I'm from here. I know, but I'm just saying I've heard rumors. So I was just curious. I have no way of knowing.
I haven't read the documents, but there was a documentary that came out on Netflix a few years ago, and I think one of his neighbors was which author was it? There was an author that lived right next door to him on the island, and he did the documentary.
Oh, really?
And they interviewed a lot of the victims that have been public, and it's just listening to their stories and just what went on and how the state attorney's office handled it and everything. It's just
he raped one girl and then gave her a car.
Oh yeah, what a trooper, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's just take a hard left. Hard right.
Hard right.
Hard right.
Let's go hard right.
Let's go hard right. All right. So we've touched a little bit on the budget for the sheriff. So the sheriff has a almost $1 billion budget.
Almost.
And Broward says, hold my beer.
Oh,
have you seen our new complex?
Oh my God.
Broward's gonna Broward.
Broward's gonna Broward, man. How much of that is what is your plan or thought process in order to trim the budget if it's trimmable, or to just cut back on bloat, overspending? Is that really necessary? What would you do going into it looking at that type of budget?
I've spoken out about this numerous times already. So here's for the listener. So to be fair to our men and women in uniform and to the citizens of Palm Beach County, before I do anything reckless by cutting a budget, that's almost $1 billion, you're correct, is how about doing an audit?
Okay.
Why don't we do a forensic external audit? Let's find out over the last 8 years, perhaps, exactly what we have spent our money on. And then evaluate those programs and that spending to see if it was truly necessary. I will hold every commander accountable for their spending. I will make sure that we are responsible with your money. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, and again, if anybody else sits here and tells you this, they're lying to you and tell you that we're going to cut the budget. What I will tell you is we're going to evaluate the budget. I'm going to do everything in my power not to increase the budget, but we're going to reallocate the way we spend some of the money. I believe, in my opinion, because, I'm coming in new as a new sheriff, God willing, with my own ideas of what I think we should be doing to serve our citizens of Palm Beach County. So I may take money from one program and put it into a different program to think that will work better. But yes, can we curve or trim, I think is the word that you use, the budget? Absolutely. We need to take a look at what we spend our money on. But so for me to sit here and say, I'm going to cut this, and this.
That's reckless.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you now, and I'm not going to lie to you tomorrow, and I'm not going to lie to the public. But I will do that audit, and here's what I will do for you. I will make it public access. I want the public to be able to see it. And if there's a question about the way I'm spending the money, then I'm willing to sit down and listen to them and explain to them why we're spending it, and maybe they can talk me out of it, if it makes sense. But I believe that we can certainly cut back on a lot of spending that should not be taking place. But again, this is only hearsay because I'm not there. My opponent says that there's $95,000 cars, that every secretary has a car. I don't know. When I see it, if that's true, then yes, I will change that, obviously. But I'm more concerned about positions. That's really my number one concern. I want to evaluate every position at the sheriff's office. And when I say every position, I don't mean our men and women in patrol, which is 80% of the manpower. That's just common sense. You have to have X amount of officers by population, right? So that takes care of that. So it's not that overwhelming when I say that I'm going to evaluate the positions, key positions, supervisory positions, director's position, management positions. Those are all highly, highly, highly paid positions. And I will be honest with you, in my defense to the listeners, I don't even know what they do for a living. There's so many positions that have been created. Maybe they're needed, maybe they're not. I don't know. But I promise you this, we're going to certainly look at it, and if we don't need them, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeeted.
As we say in Spanish, adios.
Adios.
So, yes, and that's what we'll do, and that's where you can save some money. And I'm not saying, again, where that we can actually say, hey, next year instead of $980 million, I only need $950 million. Usually, it's very hard to go back on a budget.
Right.
Extremely hard.
So hard.
So, we have a comment. We have a comment from Baba Bill. Helicopters, aircraft, penthouses, sushi trays. Vote Bradshaw.
Did you say sushi tray? Yeah. Did you really? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Wow. The only
We
part.
should have Baba Bill on one time just for the comedy gold.
The only part on that one that he said that I do understand and that we do need though is the helicopter.
Helicopter.
Yeah,
Well, and I know that's a big thing in Broward because of what happened last year.
Yeah.
When was that? September, where the BSO helicopter crashed.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So but that's we depend on aviation unit for a lot.
Oh,
so,
of course, yeah.
So we have to be careful. But there's other places that we can take a look at. So that leads me to something else. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Go.
what makes me different from my opponent?
Yes.
Right? Because now we're talking about money.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me very different from my opponent. And the primary. I don't want to talk about Bradshaw. There is no Bradshaw if I don't beat Gauger. So let's concentrate on Michael Gauger. He's a liberal. Okay. That's not a crime. He believes in social programs. Okay. That's not a crime. I'm actually giving him kudos here because I'm talking about him.
I was going to say,
yeah,
name, mention,
yeah.
and everything. Whoa,
Yeah.
I'm breaking all my cardinal rules.
Oh my God, he has a master's degree in social work. Wow. So
Abby's face.
So I say this to
We're
you.
zooming in on Abby's facial expressions during this.
Sorry.
Build sidewalks and parks for communities. Wow.
That's not his job.
Thank you. Well, stop it. Don't
Sorry.
stop it.
Wait, are we talking about Gauger or Leslie Knope?
So here's what I say. I will not take your tax dollars and develop social programs to rehabilitate criminals.
Okay.
Okay? It is not my job to rehabilitate criminals. I have no interest in rehabilitating criminals. I don't hug thugs, I arrest thugs. Because the reason I make that statement as far as, rehabilitating criminals is because if I'm going to consider for 1 second to take 20, 30, 40, $50 million from the budget to develop these social programs to rehabilitate criminals so they don't become repeat offenders, you need to check your history. When you check your history, you'll find out real quick that over 75 to 80% of prisoners go right back to prison. The excuse by liberals' way of thinking is that, that's because they haven't been trained, they haven't been helped, they haven't had the treatments, they haven't had the classes. Most of the criminals enter those programs so they can get gain time to get out early. And then they go right back to committing crimes. Those are facts. It's like they find God in jail, and, oh, my God, they're in church every day in jail. They come out of jail and they're committing a crime the same day or the next day. So that's not my job. If I'm going to think for that for 1 second, then you say that, explain this to me. Why should I spend your money rehabilitating a rapist and do absolutely nothing for the victim of that rape? That victim did not ask to be raped. That victim did not ask to be a victim. The criminal made the decision to become a criminal and commit a criminal act. So if you do the crime, my friends, you do the time. Be a big boy and be a big girl, that's the price you pay. So the answer is no. I have no interest in bringing any kind of social programs in. Now, am I pro for the drug farm? Yes.
What does that mean?
The drug farm is a program that we had that's no longer in place because it got a little too costly. We had to reevaluate it, where we would take people that were arrested for whatever the crime is, and they're addicted to drugs, and we get them to either alcohol treatment, cocaine, heroin, whatever the case may be, and we get them treatment. So it was very successful. It's a great program. I'm not sure why it was taken away. My understanding is that it was because of financial reasons. I'm not sure. I would have to take a look at it once I'm your sheriff, but I am willing to sit down and take a hard look at that and bring that back because drug dependency that is tough. Alcoholism, that's tough, and you do need treatment to get over that and get better. So I'm all for that.
So would you support? Okay, so there's obviously there's different levels of criminality. We've got people, and then I was going to actually ask about this, but we're running low on time, so I don't know if I'll get to it.
No, we can go till midnight.
Unfortunately, we only have till 9.
Till 9. So if you have your 18-year-old kid who gets arrested for possession.
Yes.
Okay, so would you be supportive of partnering with programs or not even programs, more like processes to push them once they not early release, but once he does get released, an opportunity to go into programs for trades, learning a skill-based
Absolutely.
Programming and processes for non-violent offenders?
Absolutely, I am. What I'm saying though is I don't. That should not come out of your budget. That's
Correct.
Supposed to be met for law and order and protecting your families, your communities.
So you would want to do it more so through a partnership
private sector.
The private sector partnership.
There you go.
Okay.
Yes, I'm 100% on board with that. Absolutely, I have no problem with that, without a doubt. But we talk about the biggest difference is, take a look at current events across our country. Right, you have people taking down our flags, right, putting up Palestinian flags, whatever the case may be. You have people defacing our universities. Defacing our universities, right? Throwing rocks and bottles at law enforcement men and women in uniform. I can tell you that'll last about 1 second with me as your sheriff. You throw a rock or a bottle or a barricade at one of our officers, you're going to have a case of ass whooping coming your way and you're going to jail. I'm telling you right now. I have zero tolerance for that. You're not going to destroy people's properties. You're not going to block highways and byways in our county to prove a point. You're going to ask for a permit.
So you're not kneeling before BLM?
No, I'm not kneeling. Listen, I'm not kneeling for anybody. I will not. The only thing I will kneel for is the American flag. That's it. I will not interrupt people's way of life for civil unrest, for people to want to make a point. There's a way of doing it. I'm all for the First Amendment. Do it. File your permit. We'll help you get set. We'll find a track for you where you can take a safe path. We'll even protect you so you're not hit by cars and so forth. But you can't block our traffic. Because I can tell you right now, when I'm done working, I want to get home. I don't want to be stuck on I-95 for 3 hours because you're trying to make some kind of a point.
Did you
Climate
see the
change.
videos? Did you see the videos from downtown Miami a couple months ago when the pro-Palestinian
Yeah.
protesters?
Yeah.
It's like they took one step off of that.
Oh,
That's
boom!
right. Yeah, exactly.
Those Miami cops do not mess.
No, that's the
They
way.
were
that's
on
way.
the ground. It was amazing. They
you know-
They waited. They let them do their protest,
yeah.
and then they took what? They stepped over the line.
Yep.
Boom.
Boom.
And that's the way it needs to be. We need to
That's
get back to law and
Downtown
order.
Chinatown.
We're listen. We're so far from law and order again. I think the people are ready for it. I think we deserve it. I think you deserve it. And I am a no nonsense type guy. I'm not here to be a politician. I'm not even here to be reelected. If I do a good job, I'm not going to campaign. I don't need to campaign. You're going to vote for me.
Right.
You're going to vote for me. So judge me on what I do, and then we'll go from there. But it's time to get serious. Look at the universities, what they've done to our universities.
Well,
No.
that's been a problem for a really long time, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other.
And I don't want to hear this, oh, you're hurting my child. No, your child is a grown-ass man and woman sitting out there and doing stupid things he or she shouldn't be doing. What's that beeping for? I keep hearing it in my ear.
It's still beeping the curse words.
Okay.
It's a joke. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so in the last a couple minutes, anybody have parting words real quick before we let him give his...
No.
No, this was
Campaign.
great tonight. We had an active chat tonight.
I know, this is our busiest
Awesome.
chat.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, so
All right, so then tune in July 25th. We will be live streaming the debate, as well as you can come watch it at the South County Civic Center, 6 o'clock. It's going to be boatloads of fun. I'm so excited. And I don't know what else. I think that's it. If you live in Boca, let me know and you want to, go against the Palmetto Park Square crap. Let me know. It's going to be great. And so, Captain Diaz, can you tell us your website, how people can get involved in
Sure.
your campaign, how we can support you?
Sure. So my website is Diaz for Sheriff 2024. There's also Facebook attached to that. You can go in there and volunteer. I'm always looking for volunteers. Donate money's good. We all know that when you get involved in politics and you're running for office, it costs a lot of money to do your ads, to
especially
do
like
mail outs.
countywide.
Yeah, we have the entire. Oh, you know what? That'd be a great point. I've been asked, by the way, listeners, please pay attention to this. Please, please, please. I keep being asked, especially in this past week. I don't know why this week, but if you live in Palm Beach County and you're a resident of Palm Beach County, right, and you can vote for your sheriff. It doesn't matter that you live in the quiet city east of I-95 Boca or that you live in the city of West Palm or in the city of North Palm Beach. The sheriff is a county-wide race. Everybody can vote for the sheriff. Everybody needs to vote for the sheriff, which is August 20th. We need to get you out there. I'm in the middle of a serious battle in this primary, and I know that we can win. I feel very confident that we can win. But my closing statement is this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's rear end. What you're going to get with me is just basic, straight-up honesty, transparency, and accountability. I will protect your rights. I will protect your families. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about our schools. I was hoping you would have asked me about our schools. But that's okay. But I promise you that I'm going to better protect our schools because I don't believe that we're really doing the job that we should be doing with our schools just because it's not our responsibility. So I really go on my webpage, take a look at my platform, and you'll see that I'm really big on victims of domestic violence and our schools, and we're falling short. I give ourselves an F. But as your sheriff, we're going to take that F and we're going to make it an A.
I like it.
Can I see you guys over at McDonald's or what? Oh, hey, babe, can you hear me, honey? I love you, and say hello to Magoover.
All right, Jessica, you want to take us away? Bye, guys.
Yeah. So thank you, Captain Diaz, for joining us this evening. We look forward to hearing more from you. You can follow us, We the Locals FL, on Instagram, We the Locals FL on X, We the Locals on Facebook. You can check us out online, WeTheLocalsPodcast.com. You can email us any of your questions, any questions that you have for our sheriffs for the debate. Be sure to email them to WeTheLocalsFL@gmail.com. If you need anything else, you know where to find us. Have a great night, everybody, and stay local.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Look at y'all dancing. Oh.